Okay, so in my last video, I gave you all a rundown of what were my top 10 best films of 2018. So next up, I'm going to give the other one, obviously, which is my top 10 worst films of 2018. Like I said, there were lots of great films I saw, but there were also a handful of rubbish ones that I saw. I don't want to waste any time, so let's just get into this so I don't have to discuss about these films anymore after I've seen this. So number 10 on my list of worst films of the year was Life of the Party. And it was quite a debate as to which one I was going to put in at this slot. I was tempted to do a tie and put it at number 2 because the other one I was arguing it with was the Happy Time Murders. And of course both of these starred Melissa McCarthy, but Life of the Party just gained that better one because I kind of liked the Muppet usage. Like that was, it seemed like a good idea for for Happy Time Murders, but Life of the Party was just one of those rubbish comedies that doesn't work. So basically that one, Melissa McCarthy plays a mother who never graduated from college, so she goes back with her daughter after she gets divorced and decides to go back and get the degree she never got. I didn't feel myself getting into this film greatly enough. I was glad to get out of it when it was over, and I think that's all I can pretty much say about it. So at number 9 on my list, I put Mile 22. Now, this is quite a surprise because last year I actually mentioned Patriots Day, which is another one of Peter Berg's, because this one's by Peter Berg, who directed Patriots Day and Deepwater Horizon. And at the end of 2017, I put Patriots Day as an honourable mention of one of my films of that year. And Deepwater Horizon was one of my absolute favourites of 2016. So I had high hopes for Mile 22. I had very high hopes and I thought it was going to be great. It was a big letdown in the end. Because of course you have Mark Wahlberg comes back, and you had Lauren Cohen, Iko Uwais, John Malkovich. And apart from Iko Uwais, like I mentioned there, because he actually does his karate actions, he's known as a martial arts actor. Of course, we never got to see that when he was in The Force Awakens, but you've seen him in things like The Raid. He's a brilliant martial arts actor, and at least they utilised that. That was a good thing, but the film's biggest problem was its editing, because it was just lots of jump cuts, and I'm just thinking, what have I just seen? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you've seen the Bond film Quantum of Solace, of course, many of you know, because a lot of fans put that as one of their lower ones, and that's another problem that film had, and that was its editing. So it's that same issue that has arisen by that. They just didn't edit the film properly, and they should have gone back. And like, I'm just thinking, did Peter Berg really envision the film in this style, not in the same style of way he'd filmed Patriots Day and Mile 22, or even Lone Survivor as well? Like, I heard that one's great too. I just don't see how he was able to do that and mess up the film like that. So number 8 on my list, we have, it would be no surprise that I'd be doing a list without putting a film with Amy Schumer as the lead cast on it, and that's where number 8's film comes in, I Feel Pretty. I'm not a fan of Amy Schumer. I hated Snatch that came out last year, and I've just as well hated I Feel Pretty. I was not in a good mood coming out of this movie. And I knew it was going to be bad by seeing the trailer, and I only saw it I had to review it. So I went to this film, and just seeing the trailer, I thought, by the way, the minute she went, I look gorgeous. I'm like, yeah, this movie is gonna suck. And I just think by the cast, you know that the movie is gonna suck. So yeah, I just couldn't get the picture with I Feel Pretty out. I went into it. I thought, maybe there might be the odd few scenes that make me laugh. I just had I had an unhappy look throughout the whole movie. I just could not enjoy this movie. The best thing about it was seeing the credits roll so I could get up and I could leave. Number 7 on my list, we have Tag. So this one stars Jeremy Renner, Ed Helms, Jake Johnson, John Hamm, Annabelle Wallis, Isla Fisher. It's another one of them comedy films. So in this one, it's a group of friends who have been playing tag. They've been playing a game of tag for a long time. And of course, we all know tag as, that game we all used to play on the school playground. We have that one person to be it, they have to run around and tag someone else, they become it, and so on. So that's what this film kind of centres on, is a game that kind of carried on throughout the decades. This is an actual based off event that it took place on. I was kind of thinking, that's pretty cool that there was a full game of tag that had been going on all these years, but was it very necessary to make a film surrounding that? And my thought is just, no, it wasn't. It just doesn't, unless they could have done it correctly. Like, there were several scenes I just couldn't get right. Like, there's one time where one of the guys got tagged at his dad's funeral, and then there's one bit later on where because like the main guy is played by Jeremy Renner. He's actually getting married, and he's never been tagged throughout this whole time. And there's one bit where his wife, because his wife is, they say his wife is well, his fiance is pregnant, and then she says she's having a miscarriage at some point, and they decide it would be inappropriate to tag him then. I'm thinking, so tagging this guy at his dad's funeral, absolutely no problem whatsoever. You know, he's mourning the loss of his father. They're potentially having a miscarriage. No, you can't tag him, you can't tag him. I couldn't get my head round how the logic behind that. It seems like that. I just couldn't get the logic behind this, and it was just a massive build-up, and it was just disappointing all the way through, and I just don't want to see this film again. So number 6, I take a film that looked like it had a great potential. I saw a few bits of the trailer for it. Like, I didn't see the whole thing, but I understood the premise for it. Downsizing. This had a big potential. I kid you not. I went to see this. The first about 45 minutes to an hour were excellent. I mean, that whole bit was amazing. The whole showing, oh my god, if you get downsized, everything's cheaper, you're healthier. You know, you can be like 5 inches tall, and life can be great. Then there comes that bit where it just loses all hope. You have Matt Damon and Kristen Wiig. They're a married couple who choose to get downsized, but then Kristen Wiig doesn't get downsized. In the end, she backs out at the last second, so the film just spirals out of control beyond that point. It looks like they were actually putting an effort in that first bit of the movie, but after that, it just went beyond control, and I started to care less. Like, Christoph Waltz was in that as well, and you know, we know him out of Django Unchained and Spectre, and he's good in both of those. But he was boring. Like, this whole film, after that 1 hour, was boring. Me and my friend Charlie, we envisioned a better way that this film could have turned out, but they didn't roll with it, and that's what frustrates me about it, and it just signals out the fact that I'm not buying this on DVD or Blu-ray. So at number 5 on my list, we have something that's become rather divisive across fans and critics. Like, some fans are saying, oh, this movie's alright, this movie's actually very well made, but the critics are being critical about it. And I was one of those being critical about it too, because, let's be honest, it was not a good movie. And the film in question is Venom. Venom, I hated Venom. I was in a bad mood when I came out this film. My problem is, it started to happen across this year, and I started to see it when I was watching Ant-Man and the Wasp in the cinema. Marvel films are being too funny. That's my problem with them now. And I thought as a non-MCU film, Venom was going to take itself more seriously and be a serious film. Almost the entirety of it was a setup of how he becomes Venom, and him trying to fight the Venom, how Eddie Brock becomes Venom, and he's fighting the Venom curse. And this film suddenly made Eddie Brock in Spider-Man 3 seem more appealing. I am being truthful when I say this. I could not enjoy this film, and I do not get how fans are saying it's a great film. Like, I knew a couple of people at uni who were saying, oh, this is a good film, you need to go and see it. But my problem with that is, they were the same people who were saying Pirates of the Caribbean 5 was a good film. That's not really saying much, is it, when it comes to that? Because I turned off Pirates of the Caribbean 5. I tried to watch it and I turned it off. I just could not engage with the film. Venom just tried my anger, and I just thought, you could have at least taken yourself seriously, be more violent, be more that kind of stuff. And according to Tom Hardy, 2/3 of the good bits are cut out, and he's trying to be a good anti-hero. But you had Riz Ahmed's character, which was, I forgot his name. I genuinely forgot his name. Like, I was all through it, was like, oh, come on, Bodhi, just do this. And the CG effects were just awful. Like, that ending boss, that ending battle was like a boss out of a video game. I thought, just stick a video game controller in my hands, and I will feel as though I'm just playing a video game, just beating the crap out of that boss. Venom, absolutely rubbish. One of the worst films of the year. I don't get how people are still enjoying it. So at number 4 on my list, we have Show Dogs. I can't really say much great about this film. It's directed by Roger Gosnell, who we know worked on the Scooby-Doo movie and Beverly Hills Chihuahua. I could already kind of tell this was going to be not a great film, and I was right in saying it wasn't a great film. Again, it's one of those that I just found absolutely rubbish. You had Will Arnett, Natasha Lyonne, Ludacris. I don't know how they got him in there. Stanley Tucci and Jordan Sparks. And Shaquille O'Neal. I don't get how they got the majority of these cast in this film. Like, Show Dogs was a big disappointment. In fact, that was the one I was talking about when I was in my best films. I was mentioning Isle of Dogs. Isle of Dogs is the best dog film of 2018. Show Dogs is the absolute worst. I do not see how this movie could have been done. It just seemed like a rubbish way. Like, one of my big problems with it, because whenever you see a Disney film and you see the dogs talking to each other, they don't make it obvious that they're talking. Like, it's obvious like they're talking in their own animal native language while the humans are talking in English. Like, take 101 Dalmatians, for example. When they're doing the Twilight Bark, you see Pongo and Purdy talking to each other. They're in a separate area, like, because Roger and Anita are looking out a way. But then when it cuts to them talking, they're just barking as normal. And Lady and the Tramp, same kind of thing. Whereas in this one, the dogs are talking exactly to the humans as though they can understand. Like, there's that bit within the trailer where the fight with the dog, Max, I think his name was, and Will Arnett, they're fighting over the radio, and he's like singing along. I'm like, can he understand him or not? Like, it's something that needs to be fixed when it comes to a dog movie. And Show Dogs just, it just made me not want to go back in and see it again. And I'm just glad I won't have to talk about it again after this. So number 3 on my list. How do you ruin a child's classic? You adapt it into a modern movie and try and put a modern spin on it. That's exactly what Peter Rabbit is. So you have James Corden in the voice of Peter Rabbit. Donald Gleeson, who plays, he's not Mr. McGregor, he's Mr. McGregor's great nephew, if I remember it right. Thomas McGregor. Then you had Rose Byrne, who was B, as in Beatrix, sort of Beatrix Potter kind of thing. Like, because obviously it was based off the classic story by Beatrix Potter. And I've read Peter Rabbit, and that's a great book. It's a simple short book of a naughty rabbit who went against his mother told him, don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. That's how your dad died, and you can be if you're not careful, you'll do that as well. But of course he's rebellious, and he goes in and he goes into the garden and he almost gets caught by the farmer. I did not see the point in making a film out of this other than just financial gain. And I'm aware there is a sequel coming out, and I know it's going to be just as bad as well. James Corden just did my head in when in the film. Some of the other cast that you had in there, you had Margot Robbie, Sia, Daisy Ridley, Elizabeth, because Margot Robbie, Elizabeth Debicki and Daisy Ridley were the voices of Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail, which are of course Peter Rabbit's sisters. And then you had Benjamin Bunny, who was done by Colin Moody. As I mentioned, Sia, the singer there, she did Miss Tiggy Winkle. Of course, Sam Neill did the old McGregor. I don't think there was anything much that made this. I did not want this movie to happen, because we've seen movies that have gone bad over time in modern adaptations. We had Thunderbirds in 2004. We had Postman Pat back in 2014. There's been others, I can't name a lot of all of them, but there is others as well. The only one that's ever done it successfully is Paddington, and I kind of don't get how they've done this correctly, but they've done it well with Paddington, but they haven't done it well with anything else, and I just don't get the point in doing this. Peter Rabbit sucked, and it annoys me today now that most kids are going to be introduced to Peter Rabbit through this movie and not the actual storybook, and it just saddens me to know that. So number 2 on my list, we have the film Father Figures. This is, again, another one of those awful comedies, because this one was technically a 2017 movie, but didn't come out here until about February. So in this one you have Owen Wilson, Ed Helms, Glenn Close, Zachary Haven, J.K. Simmons, Harry Shearer. And so basically these two brothers don't know who their birth father is, so they set out on this quest to go through all these girls that their mum, played by Glenn Close, previously dated in life. So they go through on this quest to try and find out who their birth father is, and so they don't get along at the start of them. So it's sort of a way to get them to bond. That's kind of what it ended up being, and I did not invest myself into this movie. Well, I even said to my friend, "Don't bother with this. It's awful. Don't." and that's kind of what happened out of seeing Father Figures. I just don't. I think nobody out there right mind should be sane enough to go and see this, to watch this movie. I saw it the once, never seeing it again, and I think that's all I can really say about it without spoiling anything major about it. My number one pick of my worst film of 2018. We might as well, like, 'cause we did that for the best films. We might as well do the dishonourable mentions of films that could have made this list but were saved by these other ones. So we have Lewis and the Aliens, which is a crappy animated one. Ocean's 8, which was just Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 12 with just a whole new row of people. Except it was basically all just women. There was some good actresses tried, but it just didn't work out as well. Dog Days, so another dog film. The Nutcracker and the Four Realms, which gives me no pleasure in saying that as well, because I thought that could have had potential as well. Book Club. It's not memorable, especially the fact that it's a bunch of older women in their late 50s reading 50 Shades of Grey. Like all three of them are like, yeah, I wouldn't bother. And finally, Rampage. It's hard finding a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie that isn't above average now, to be honest. And yeah, Rampage was the one that made the list. So we get to our number one film of my worst movies of the year, and it was a hard one to decide, but this was Robin Hood. So we have Taron Egerton, Jamie Foxx, Ben Mendelsohn, and Eve Hewson. And this film kind of just sucked so badly. We all know Robin Hood is the story of Robin Hood and his merry men, that we know of things like the Disney version, or there's like other versions, Robin Hood Prince of Thieves. There's like so many other good versions of Robin Hood that have come out. But this one was just sort of, Robin Hood is a war-hardened crusader, and his Moorish commander, they mount an audacious revolt against the corrupt English crown in a thrilling action-adventure packed. It's not thrilling, it's not good. Robin Hood. While I wanted to think this film was going to be great, I just thought it's not going to be good, and it's not going to be worth watching. And that's just about what I said with it. I just could not invest into that. And Robin Hood, just give it a miss if you haven't seen it already, because it's not worth wasting another 2 hours of your life, because it looked like sort of a comic book version of it that they're trying to do, and it just isn't working. So that's a rundown of my top 10 worst films of the year, so we'll just recap and go through them. At number 10, Life of the Party. Number 9, Mile 22. Number 8, I Feel Pretty. Number 7, Tag. Number 6, Downsizing. Number 5, Venom. Number 4, Show Dogs. Number 3, Peter Rabbit. Number 2, Father Figures. And number 1, Robin Hood. So that was a full total on my top 10 worst films of the year. If you haven't already checked out my top 10 best films of the year, there's a link down there in the description to it where you can go and watch it for yourself. Do leave a comment below. Tell me what you think of some of your worst films of the year, whether you agree or disagree with me. And I shall be willing to see you next time. Thanks very much for watching, guys.